Hey everybody, how's it going? This is the Fancy Rugby Yanks. My name's Jared Dyke.
I'm Ben Glauser.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Welcome in. It's been a while since you've all heard from us. And you've probably had radio silence from me for a while because I've been under the weather, and it's been hell.
Glad you're still on this side of the dirt, dude.
Yeah, that's a good start. Caught a wee bit of the flu. I was like, oh, doctor told me, and I'm like, no, that's why I feel like ass. Started like Wednesday night into Thursday, and then, like Christmas night into Thursday. I worked a little bit Thursday, and I came home Thursday after my first little batch of work, and I was like, oh, I'm not well. And I felt okay, but still kind of like crap Thursday. Friday, exponentially worse. And I was like, yep, this is not good. So we went to the doctor.
Yeah, I was texting with you and then got radio silence. So then I texted your wife, and she's like, yeah, Jared's been passed out on the couch since he got back from the doctor. So I'm like,
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah,
that's
dead.
All right.
Yeah, so sorry about those that may have missed our start sit. I was dying, or at least trying not to die. So, but still here, still alive. Obviously, I've been sick, so we're going sans beers today for the first time, probably basically since that one morning show that we did. That was about it. But yeah, so we'll pass on that, but make sure that you're checking us out on Google Play, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, all those good places. Obviously, we've been in the middle of a quite a big patch of Premierships. So obviously, Premiership Fantasy on TRM is coming in handy if you have your Rugby Mag upgrade.
Does it's very handy. It's been extremely helpful for the last couple of weeks. Now that we're getting into the meat of the Prem season, and we don't have too many interruptions going forward, it'll be nice.
I did manage to field a reasonable team on TRM, not too, although obviously I had a couple of stinkers in my lineup, but
as did we all.
But Thacker did well.
He did. I captained him.
I definitely benefited from having that upgrade because all I did was look at my lineup and go, all right, do I have everybody playing? Yeah, looks good. All right. Roll. Good. Bye. And so I did. It came in handy.
Yeah, I did slightly more tinkering than that, but I was still traveling. I was still at the in-laws, so I did what I could. I still came away with a pretty good week too. So I did. Then the captaining of Thacker was just like, well, fine, I'll go with him.
Yeah,
it was really between him and Reinach. I know it's obvious to say that now, but
that wasn't a bad answer though either way.
Right. So I wasn't expecting 15. I wasn't expecting that many points from Reinach, which obviously, and I was expecting a solid day from Thacker. They both blew away my expectations.
Yep. Yeah. The Reinach definitely won me a week in FRD.
Mm-hmm.
I put like 146 up in FRD last week. Not bad for being half in the bag.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, somebody pull that magic out at another point. And if you're obviously ever in a pinch, like last week when we weren't around, and you were seeking for other help and other advice, always check out our friend the Fantasy Rugby Geek and his website. Make sure that you're working with him a little bit too, because believe me, what he knows, we know, and he might even know a little bit more.
Oh, he does. Well, his analysis and insight really helped me beat him this week in FRD. So.
We're 2-0 against him. Sorry, buddy. Oops. Okay. Let's get into the meat of the shit here. Hopefully not meaty shit.
Keep that on that side of the table.
Yeah, right. Our 15 of the year. Yes, we're already in 2020, but listen, we ain't that fucking deep into it, so we can look back on 2019 and still talk about it. Our 15 of the year, and this was actually Ben's brainchild. So, do you want to go position by position trade off, or do you want to?
Let's go position by position.
Okay.
So, again, the idea is for me, it's not like the best at each position,
right?
So much as who had the best year for them, and obviously you want high level players. So we're not just talking
Yeah, some shit.
Nobody's you don't know.
Yeah,
we're talking about the high level international level players.
Yep.
So my number one retired this year, and then stunningly came out of retirement.
Yes.
to have an excellent run at the World Cup, and just in general, all around great guy, and has been a real advocate for good in a lot of other ways outside of the game. But my number one of the year is Joe Marler.
Yeah, actually, he's mine too. So how about that?
Yeah.
His obviously a great England comeback, and then his performance with the Babas and his time with the Babas, and he certainly emulated what the Babas meant.
Exactly. He's a guy who should be on the Babas too. So I guess now he has more time for that. Now that he is actually retiring.
Yeah, now he's done. He's like, all right, well, I'm not making the next World Cup, so screw it.
I love the move of I don't really want to play Six Nations.
Yeah, hey, whatever.
I want to play in the World Cup.
He's that veteran, so it's okay. Gave guys like Ben Moon and Hepburn a chance to give it a run. How about your hooker? I
want to see if you had the same guy, so I'll let you go first on this one.
Same time. I went with now former Irish captain and our friend Rory Best.
Fair enough.
He was he just had a great, obviously had a great, just it was fun to see him kind of ride off into the sunset in the way he did. He deserved a better end after obviously Ireland got smushed by the All Blacks. That happens. But he's a great leader. He's a great person, and just you see the emotion in his eyes when he's won his last game at Dublin, and then just his last game for Ireland. You could see the emotion in his eyes and how much he cares. And to me, that just says a lot about him. So my hooker for the year is Rory Best.
My hooker, I'm gonna stick with the American here, because 2019 was really the coming out party for Joe Taufetti.
Joe T. Yep, not a bad choice.
A little bit, scoring records for hookers, shit like that. No big deal.
Yeah.
But playing well, playing well in the Prem and really acquitting himself well on the international stage. Somebody who you can look at. We have a lot of American international Eagles who are playing overseas, and there unfortunately aren't many of them that you look at and the other teams in other countries are actually impressed by.
Yeah.
But Taufetti is really showing well for the U.S. on the international scene.
Right. How about your tight head?
My tight head is one of your favorite props, and certainly one of mine. Is Kyle Sinclair.
I knew that was coming.
He does have issues with discipline, or has in the past. I think he's improved himself in ways that were seen as his weaknesses. He's a lot more disciplined. You see a lot of ill discipline all over the place. But he's been really good about keeping his head, and not doing stupid things, such as some of the things we saw in some recent Sarries matches. Like all these other things. He's not one of those. He's starting shit. He's walking away from that. He's earning scrum penalties almost as much as he's losing them, which is still a
still that's a lottery at this point.
But he's getting better in other aspects than just his open field play.
Mine is Jefferson Poirot for one reason and one reason only: the rainbow laces that he was wearing. The same game that he had Nigel Owens refereeing.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I don't know if he was trying to be a kiss ass or just trying to show respect, but either way, I'll give Jefferson Poirot some props.
That was good.
Obviously, he had a great year for France, and France in general had a much better year than they've had in the past. And he was definitely a part of it, but just the nod to Nigel. Yeah, I'm going to wear rainbow laces while Nigel Owens referees me. So Jefferson Poirot is my tight.
Class move.
Yes. Let's go to the engine room. My first lock would be the big, gigantic Australian Will Skelton. He had a hell of a year.
Certainly
for the
did.
man. He should have been in Japan. Australia, you should have moved heaven and earth to get this guy on that plane. I don't care what your rules say. Like, to just ignore him was just absolutely stupid. To think that he was just gonna ditch the Saracens and go back to Australia is like, you're desperation. That was a desperation thought at the very least. But he obviously had an incredible year. He lost the weight he lost, and he turned himself into quite the monster. And the Prem found out that he was quite a good player.
Yeah, they did.
So Willie Skelton is is one of my locks.
My lock is a woman named Carmen Farmer, who lots of you out there probably don't know, which is fine. She's an Eagle. She ended up, and I have a little bit of personal history. So my wife played with her back in the day.
Okay.
But so I've been following her career for a while. But she's been a great Eagle for a long time. Retired from that. She ended up starting the Barbarian women's.
Oh.
In their first 2 matches ever, including the match at Twickenham.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
And she ended up winning the WPL this year, the highest level in American women's rugby with Glendale. So she had herself an incredible year. When you start for a club like the Barbarians, their first ever women's team.
Yeah.
That's one thing, and then you do it their second match too. That means they liked what they saw.
They liked what they saw the first time,
and so they wanted to do there again.
Yeah, good for her.
So great job, Carmen.
Yeah, great, awesome. My other lock would be a man that nobody would ever question his leadership, and you'd run your head through a wall for this guy. That'd be the former Wales captain, Alan Wynne-Jones. Obviously, Wales won the Six Nations this year and completed the Grand Slam, and they were able to obviously put themselves into a semifinal, and ended up in the third place game against the All Blacks. But really, they showed out really, really well for a Welsh squad that was probably a little underrated going into the initial Six Nations, and then obviously they caught a little bit of fire, got themselves over the line. So Alan Wynne-Jones is obviously going to no longer be a World Cup captain at the very least. Maybe we'll see him this spring when the Six Nations starts, which is not that far away. But my other lock is Alan Wynne-Jones.
My other lock was also Alan Wynne-Jones.
Yeah, nice.
So, he had himself
hard to not pick him.
Right. And then we go to our number 6, which we have to have the same person, because if we don't have the same person, I'm going to come over there and smack you. It's Sia Khaleesi.
I have.
It's got no. You're wrong. It's Sia Khaleesi.
I love Sia, and he was. This was a conversation in my head of, oh man, how 2 countries that did so well for themselves, and two leaders that did so well for their country. But I went with Mike Leach.
He's my number 7.
Okay, so I picked somebody else at 7, so fair enough. Mike Leach is my 6.
Okay.
Obviously, the beards were flowing in Japan because of Mike
were.
Leach, and he led that team on to a terrific performance in the World Cup, and obviously winning their group and all that good stuff. So Mike Leach was an awesome. He's an awesome person, but he's also obviously was a terrific leader this year for the Brave Blossoms.
And yeah, he really showed well and led that team with his heart, not so much his body anymore.
He's broken now.
Yeah, but he did so well all through that tournament, and really gave them the spark that they needed to accomplish the things that they accomplished.
Absolutely, I agree. My 7 is Tom Curry.
Excellent choice.
He had a bolter of a year.
He did.
Obviously, people knew who he was before, but man, the world found out who Tom Curry was thanks to the World Cup, because he didn't miss much.
2 years ago, we were talking about England have no flankers.
Now they have a plethora of them.
Yeah, and a lot of them are named Curry, but that's not the point. This one in particular,
spoiled for choice,
did a very good job.
Yes,
and really earned his way onto that squad and the position he had on that squad.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was a menace to any team that played against him, especially at the World Cup. So Tom Curry is my 7.
My 8. I don't think he may have played 1 or 2 international matches, but he's a guy who had been getting some attention, but then there's a lot of 8s out there. I mean, Kieran Reid. You could talk about your Kieran Reids, your Vunipolas, all that shit. None of them. They all did what you expected them to do. There was nothing. Nobody really had to stand out like, oh, we'd never seen anything like that from him before.
Right.
So I went with Alex Dombrandt,
Dominator,
as a guy who really came on strong in the Premiership and actually acquitted himself incredibly well at the international level when he got a shot with England.
Right.
It's just he's stuck behind
a lot of
8s.
Yeah, there's a lot of bodies in that back row.
Right.
In England.
And I don't know that he could fit in as a 6, and especially not now that the speed that other 6s have for England. So, but you still, it's got to be acknowledged the season that Dombrandt had. He went above and beyond and hoped to continue
took his opportunity by the scruff of the neck, big time. My 8 is Kieran Reid, and obviously he was this was his last match as an All Black. He's on his way to France, I think, or Japan actually. I think
it's Japan.
Yeah, I think he ended up in Japan. But just the special moments he had with his family, especially the poor, he had an awesome moment with them after the third place match in Japan. But I go back to his last regular season home game in Christchurch where he was being honored, and the kids were supposed to walk out with him, and one of them was not having it.
No.
And he just went down and it's like, fuck it, I'm bringing him.
Right.
He just picked her up. It's like, yeah, guess what? You're coming. So by hook or by crook, you're coming, kiddo. So, but it just amused me. And obviously, Kieran Reid's a great player, a great leader, and a great man. So my number 8 is the All Black Kieran Reid.
Nice. Who you got at scrum half?
Cobus Reinach.
Excellent option.
You can't say a whole lot about him negatively. At least he had a hell of a year in the Premiership. Bolted himself onto the plane for South Africa. I thought he got way too little game time for them. The Premiership are gonna see him in their dreams and in nightmares for a long time because he has continued to cause problems even since. But Cobus Reinach is my 9 for his outstanding years, especially in the Premiership.
And my choice for 9 is the guy who made sure he didn't get enough time in the World Cup, and that's Herschel Yankees. Who just came on literally out of nowhere.
No kidding.
In the Super League, and earned his way through his play onto the national side, and even was the backup 9 at the World Cup final over Reinach, which was incredible. I did want to give an honorable mention because you're going to hear the name for a long time also, but for Antoine Dupont.
Yeah.
But Yankees for me is
it was huge.
He played really well for a guy his age too.
Yes, like Stormers were like, "What are we gonna do at 9?" And then this kid shows up and plays his balls off, and they're just like, "Never mind,
got that covered.
We're good.
Solve something else now."
Yep. Fly half.
I have a veteran who I thought acquitted himself well, and he's gotten a lot of shit over the years, but has always, to my mind, been very good, and gets too much for what he is, and really doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Certainly deserved it with his Six Nations and his performance in the Premiership, and that's Dan Biggar.
Yep.
My honorable mention for this is Romain Ntamack. Another, sticking with that French thing, because you're going to hear these names for a while.
Yeah.
He did the same kind of thing, but I think Dan Biggar did a lot. There were a lot of middle fingers coming from Dan Biggar this year towards a lot of people who've said unkind things about his play.
Yeah, he's not talked about enough by any means whatsoever, and I thought he definitely played his ass off, both in the World Cup and the Six Nations. And the Saints will tell you otherwise, that he's pretty good too.
Yeah.
My 10 is Romain Ntamack.
Okay.
He had a fantastic year for France. Obviously, he put himself on the world stage, especially with the performance in the Six Nations and at the World Cup, and then in the top 14 for Toulouse, as well as the Champions Cup for Toulouse. He's certainly going to be somebody that they lean on for a long time. Yes, he plays 12 sometimes for them, but really his natural position and I believe his best position is 10. So hopefully he is going to be somebody that we see for a long time coming, because that whole France team, they had like two or three under 20 championships. You're going to see some youth coming through real quick here, and it's going to be pretty. I think the French are going to be around for a while now.
Hopefully, yeah. Especially with they're new, that they're actually adding structure to their national team, and you can see how much better that their national team are playing than their club sides that haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah.
So onto the skill positions, the little guys that we'll go with number 11. This is my third and final honorable mention, and my honorable mention is Kenki Fukuoka.
Fukuoka, yeah.
For just because he had 2 amazing tries in the World Cup and just an amazing play, and retired to go be a medical student.
Yeah.
Become a doctor.
Whatever, right?
Fucking A, dude. That's a hell of a year. But my 11 of the year is Josh Adams for the storming Six Nations, and then to continue that through the World Cup.
Yep. Did he break Shane Williams' record at the World Cup for tries? I think he did.
I think he did.
Yeah. Yeah, good on him.
Yeah. So to have a Six Nations and a World Cup like that, well done.
Yeah, absolutely. My 11, and I'm sure your other wing might be this guy as well. Kotaro Matsushima.
Okay.
Big World Cup from this guy for the Brave Blossoms.
Yes.
He definitely provided a huge spark for them and was putting tries in for fun. The guy just had an amazing year, especially obviously for his time at the World Cup in Japan. But yeah, just definitely gave a big X factor to the Japanese team out on the wing. So my 11 is Kotaro Matsushima.
On to 12. The best, to my mind, the best center that was not at the World Cup, Rory Hutchinson.
Yep.
Just what more could he do? Tore up the Premier League. He's doing it again, even now.
Right.
So it wasn't just a fluke then. Somehow mysteriously left off the team.
Yeah. Townsend's going to have some answers to provide on that one.
Right. But as far as the play from a 12, I thought Rory Hutchinson was far and away, better this year than I guess the honors bestowed upon him for his efforts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. My 12 is our friend Nick Tompkins.
There you go. That's a good one.
And for one simple reason, he's obviously an amazing player, and he definitely burst onto the scene this year. But really, the thing that sticks out to me is his hat trick off the bench in the Prem semifinal against Gloucester that really just put the nail in their coffin.
Yeah,
they're gonna hate seeing him for. Yeah, well, and then he scored again this year against them. They're gonna hate seeing him for a long time over at Gloucester, I have a feeling.
They will.
But yeah, Nick Tompkins had himself a heck of a year, and obviously put himself into a conversation to get himself at least on an international team at some point here. 13.
I went with the Women's Player of the Year for 2019, Emily Scarrett.
Okay.
Just dominating this year. She took it to another level. Went from a it's hard to tell because she's been such a dominating player,
right.
but I mean, she was just playing and toying with teams, and it's one of those you can no longer just focus on her because she'll pop it out to those. England have some really super fast wings now too,
right?
And she can either throw the pass or even the chip ahead and chase. She does it all to put her players, the players around her, in position to do good things, even when she's not getting the glory herself. She's the one who starts it usually, so or is a key component of it.
Yep.
So for a Six Nations win again and her Women's Player of the Year, Emily Scarrett's my 13 of the year.
Yeah. Good choice. My 13 is Semi Radradra.
That was the tough one there.
Had to have a Fijian in there for their performance this. They pushed all the teams that they came up against, and obviously they're just a wonderful team to watch, and they're so entertaining to watch. So
I was struggling with that because he played wing for Fiji,
right?
Although he is an outside center in a different club, so I was like, I want to do, but
yeah. So
I
was like, all right, I got to have a Fijian in this team.
Yeah, and
Radradra is a pretty damn good one. Last I checked, so and obviously he's now got himself a nice move on the way over to the Premiership, so it'll be fun to watch him play there next year.
14. This fucking guy. Another one of these. He's been good. All right. Solid player. Somebody you got to watch out for. And then at the World Cup, he just lit everybody on fire. When that South Africa team really needed to try to either to just change the match or put it away, Cheslin Colby was there to provide a lot of magic.
Yep.
You can't tackle him in a phone booth. I mean, he's so tiny.
Yeah, he's
a phone booth for those of you out there used to be this thing where you could go. It's an enclosed place. But yeah, you think you got him completely surrounded, and he wiggles his way out, and you're like, how the fuck did he do that? But he's dancing up the sideline for a try.
Yep.
Just an amazing job this year of separating himself from the pack of wings in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got I was stuck between him and his other wing partner, Mac Mapimpi, and I went with Mac Mapimpi.
There you go.
He had himself an amazing year for the Sharks. Scored a huge try for them to get them into the quarterfinal.
Standing still, he catches that pass. He intercepts the pass within a full high jump, and lands flat-footed and still outraces everybody back for that try.
Yeah,
unreal.
He had a huge game in that last match, and then obviously he bolted himself onto the South Africa plane and had a huge impact, especially on the final. Scored a try there, so it was an amazing job by the guy, and from what I understand, he's come from a tough background. So for him to get there this year and to have that happen for him is awesome to hear a story like that for sure. So Mac Mapimpi's my 14.
Who you got at 15?
Your girl Emily Scarrett.
Oh, there you go.
Had to find a spot for her. I was like, fullback, done.
Yep.
You said it. You said everything that needs to be said. She was dancing circles around people the whole year. Obviously, World Rugby saw that and named her World Rugby Women's Player of the Year. Amazing year for the girl, and she's going to keep on ticking. I have a feeling too. So look out, ladies.
My 15, not just for his work on the pitch, but for his tireless, endless efforts off the pitch, still in his kit. Alex Good.
Alex Good. He was on my brain. For this too. But yeah, good pick.
Because he won some hardware this year, and he celebrated it well. That's what you want to see in rugby. is the work that he put in. Also unappreciated by Eddie, unfortunately.
A couple of those guys, unfortunately.
But just what a year he had for himself. Unfortunately, it ended too early.
Yep, agreed. All right, and then our top 5 moments. I remember. So I can go through. Yeah, let's go through each one on our own. So our own list. So 5 for me. You mentioned him, and this is where he came into play for me, was Joe Tafete getting named on the World Player of the Year nominee. As people were not happy about it, that were really sticklers and picky, but at the same time, don't take away from him what he's done.
Right.
So that's not fair to him.
Right.
He obviously had himself an amazing year. So yes, there's a list of people that probably could have been on there.
But how many of those are down there just because of their name and not what they did this year?
Right.
So the guy had a great year. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of players who...
He wasn't going to win it, so...
There's a lot of players who are very well known who had bad years this year and would probably... The stick in the muds would probably want over Taufetti as a nominee, and that... Fuck you.
Yep. Nope. So yeah, Joe T is number 5. Number 4 is the unfortunate saying goodbye to Rory Best. One of the great characters of the game. Never mind leaders and people and players. His line out throwing ain't the best.
No,
pun intended.
Not
but
the end.
He's still an amazing leader and he's still an amazing player. So number 4 is unfortunately saying goodbye to Rory Best. It was a sad goodbye, but it was a lot of joy to it as well. Number 3, Uruguay beating Fiji at the World Cup. What an accomplishment this is for a country like Uruguay, especially over here in the Americas, where we're the only team that's really even closely rated is Argentina. For them to pick up a huge win like that after Fiji kind of went to sleep on them, and obviously Fiji were the darlings of the World Cup. But the Uruguayans just put in a hell of a team shift, and they set-pieced them to death a little bit, and it was...
works.
Yeah, it was pretty good for them. So I was... David Stern died.
Yeah, he'd been sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's a shame.
So yeah, sorry. Things come across computers. Uruguay beating Fiji is number 3 for me. Number 2, appropriately, there's 2 of them. The series double was a huge moment for me. Obviously in us, it was a lot of fun, especially the European one. But yeah, it was it's obviously not something you see every day. I think Leicester was the only other team that's accomplished the double. So this is our second, and I was dancing in the street for it. So it was definitely a fun moment for me, and I'll enjoy it while it lasts because I know these things don't last forever.
Right.
And number one, how could you not? Japan qualifying and winning the group in their home World Cup and putting on the performance they put on just to entertain their home crowd and obviously entertain us. Mm-hmm. And they did it with some brilliant rugby, and it wasn't the ugly shit that some teams do when they're trying to just grind through it. They really went out there and showed their stuff. And hopefully the Sunwolves aren't going away because of that, which would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, so Japan qualifying and winning their group for the first time in the Rugby World Cup is my number one moment of the year.
There you go. So my top five. My fifth is going to be a try, because it was the try of the year, and rugby is nothing without the tries. And that's TJ Perenara's try against Namibia. Unfortunate to say, it goes to Namibia. No. This was a try against any team because of how fucking amazing it was and the teamwork that went into it.
Yeah.
Perenara gets the credit, but a lot of work by everyone else that went into that. That was just an amazing moment there. The one that everybody could just cheer, no matter who you were rooting for.
Wow. Okay. You win.
Yeah. My number 4 is the Crusaders versus Hurricanes Super Rugby semifinal, which was really the final.
Yeah, it really was.
But what an amazing match. I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm poking at a sore spot here for you.
It's all right. It was still a good match.
Yeah, it was still a great match. Very good for rugby. Maybe not, we can say that the wrong team may have won, but whatever.
Yeah, it was what it was.
It was what it was. On to number 3 is the double. The Billy Vunipola, him running through 4 Leicester defenders to win the Champions Cup. Alex Good's never-ending celebration, and Jamie George going over to seal it against Exeter in the Prem final.
Yep.
Like, all those combined were just very good for, it's just great rugby. Number 2 is the creation of the Barbarians women's side.
All right.
Including the inaugural match versus the U.S. in Glendale. And the double headers against England and Wales with the men's sides. So just good to see, if you've been following the Barbarians social media, they don't distinguish between, we have a men's team and a women's team, but we're all the same club. We're
right.
all, they practice together, they work together. Mm-hmm. One of them laid out Marler, I think it was, in trading. Like they're not. They're not going easy on each other, so
that's great.
It was fun to see, and good for the sport too. We need some stuff like that, especially the women's team. Women's rugby needs something like the Barbarians too, because there's a lot of skill that goes to waste in the women's the game, unfortunately, and that really highlights this. The U.S. versus Barbarians match was a lot of fun, a lot of just open rugby and fun passing on both sides, just good shit. And then my number 1 is a trio of moments, 2 of which you already named, Uruguay beating Fiji, Japan qualifying. So I'm going to go with my number 1 moment was Gatland and Hansen walking off together into the sunset after Wales, New Zealand in the 3rd place match.
Yeah, that was a good moment for them to do that too. Yeah, it was 3rd place, so nobody was really paying attention necessarily to who won. It was more the players and about just celebrating
the event, because you had a lot of players that were retiring from not only the World Cup but also just international rugby in general.
Right.
So a lot of players and 2 coaches that'll be there. Well, for them it'll be at least the last match with those teams. They'll move on, I hope.
Yeah, I think Gatland went to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And then Hansen's somewhere in Japan now. So there you go.
So, but good to see, and especially Hansen's comment. Just what did he say?
Couldn't spit out more than spit a privilege or something
privilege,
like that.
Yeah, that's all he could get out. Perfect.
Right. Yeah. Couldn't spit out a whole lot more.
No.
All right. Well, so it's gonna be kind of the dead year. Yeah. Unfortunately, 2020 is gonna be interesting. I think thing I'm most excited about is the Free Jack starting.
That's fun.
We get our tickets. We're gonna be able to watch some cool things happen down at the point there. So it'll be fun.
And MLR seems like it's for real. So
yeah,
there's a lot of legitimate players coming over and playing. Yeah, at even the tail end of their careers, but still,
it's all right.
That's what MLS needed.
Yep.
So that's what MLR needs. This is we're getting it. So that's excellent to see. I guess if anything, this year I'm looking forward to Louis Rees-Zammit and seeing him at the
hopefully at the Six Nations.
At the Six Nations, yeah, and seeing how he can do at the international level. Certainly.
Right. Yeah, let's go to Premiership Round 7 recap. Friday night, Bristol and Wasps. I was awake for about 2% of this match, and the 2% I caught was Nizam Carr strolling in for the winner.
Oh, that's not all you needed to see. It was a pretty solid match. But yeah, that was a hell of an end. The Bristol, their defense completely fell apart at the end.
Yeah.
They were clumped up like a bunch like Pee Wee soccer. And it was, they had a I thought they had a chance to kill the. Oh yeah, they did, because they had some sort of infringement. I can't remember if it was a penalty or a free kick or something, where they could have played slow ball and they didn't. I think they like did a box kick or something. They basically gave Wasps the ball with like a minute and a half to go. They gave away possession. It's like at that point, just run a couple crash ball phases, and you're not trying to get meters. Just recycle the ball and wait till the clock's red and kick it to touch. Mm-hmm. They didn't do that. I didn't quite understand it.
Beats the holy hell out of me.
So you missed Pat Lamb's comments mid-game, where I'm reading between lines here. So I'm interpreting things the way I would interpret them. So take that out there with a grain of salt. I think Lamb was pretty disappointed with Uren's play, based on what he said both in his in-game interview and then the fact that he pulled Uren like only a few minutes into the second half. He did not give him much time to up his game. We've talked a lot about Uren and Randall combination.
Right.
Uren has not outplayed Randall this year, so I'm hoping that I think Lamb is still figuring out his squad. I'm making the assumption now that Randall will feature more as a starter and more of a significant performer than a late game replacement.
Yeah, hopefully especially for his sake.
Umaga missed 2 early kicks for Wasps, but then he made up for it with the first try of the match. Certainly, is a developing player, but there's a lot there.
Okay, well there you go. It was a it's an unfortunate result. It looks like for Bristol, but
it was that wasn't a game that they could have afforded to lose.
Yeah,
that this is one of the reasons. Like, losses like this are one of the reasons why Bristol have not been a top 4 team in the last, at least not. Well, they weren't last year when they had the opportunity to be.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. But they got to flush losses like this out of their system quickly.
Yep. And then the early game on Saturday, Northampton and Gloucester. It was pretty back and forth.
Yes,
it was pretty back and forth.
Very much was.
From what I remember, but the man wearing number 9 for Northampton returns with abandoned Kobus Ryanak.
Yes, he
did come off, but
he came off, but then he came back on, and then he came off again quickly.
Yeah, he was he's a little banged up, I think.
Right. And yeah, he looked a little loose in the knee, but still got 2 tries. Should have had a third.
Yes.
Except for I think there was an offside call.
I think they determined the pass was forward, maybe.
Or something. Yeah, there was something that wasn't right. What was it? Sharples was incredibly physical, shutting down Nairavoro before he'd even get a head of steam. Like basically coming up and yeah, he did exactly what he needed to do to defend there. And then he cut Francis in half, and then he had to come off less than 20 minutes in. So Sharples. So we talked about Rees-Zammit. He had 3 tries this match.
One of them was pretty easy from him.
Yeah, a couple. I think 2 of them were pretty easy. They were set up not by others' work, and he just had to walk over. Or I think one was a chip through, if I remember correctly. But either way, I think we're going to see a lot more of Rees-Zammit for a couple weeks too, with Thorley and now Sharples hurting. We'll see how that goes, but that's one to watch and for fantasy is Rees-Zammit now. I think he's one, especially for actually in either format. You can stow him on your bench if you have to in FRD. And in TRM, he's dirt cheap, so he should be on your squad.
Yeah. Yeah, so Northampton take it home 33-26. It was a good match from what I remember.
It was
a lot of back and forth.
A lot of fun. I was so excited because I wasn't paying too much attention because I was literally driving all day on Saturday.
Right.
So I was like, when I was watching the replays, I was like, oh man, do I want to watch Gloucester or do I want to watch Northampton? And then I get to the replays, I'm like, oh shit, that's right, it's Gloucester and Northampton.
They're
this is fucking
other.
awesome. That makes it so easy.
Yeah.
And it was definitely worth it. I love watching both these teams, and as you can tell on the scoreboard, 33-26.
Right.
Hell of a match, and definitely worth the price of admission.
Yeah, clearly. The bog comes back, Bath and Sale.
Yeah, that was
It was a slog.
Yeah.
I know Jonathan Joseph got over and then was just like, ew, I just fell into something.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's a mess.
Not good.
It's a mess in the try zone especially. But it was, give Bath credit. They toughened up and they showed up for this match. This is a big win for them because they really needed to get themselves off the table a little bit here.
Yeah, Faf pissed me off. I watched the first couple of minutes of it, enough to see Faf suffering what had to be a season-ending injury, the way he was flopping about, and crying and doing as he does. And they came out and they put a little tape on him and he's like, oh, I'm good to go. I'm running around and like everything's fine. Like, dude, come on, man. Like this isn't soccer. We don't need to oversell injuries. Let's
not do that
come
anymore.
on.
Please
have some fucking pride.
Yeah, just a bit. But the Bathmen do take care of business, 16-14. Neither one of us, unfortunately, watched the Worcester Irish match, or fortunately. From what I heard, it was pretty ugly.
Yeah.
I was following somebody on Twitter, and said it wasn't the prettiest thing.
No, I
ever.
can't imagine. Those two teams are not doing the best as far as they're not playing high level.
I guess John O'Lance came on and made quite a difference.
All right. Fair enough.
And then one of the Irish props. An Irish prop got a red card. Surprise, surprise. Sounds like a familiar song there.
Yep.
But yeah, Worcester won it, and this could be, have implications on relegation in the future. Don't know yet, but it could.
Any of these matches that the Wasps win was huge for them for that relegation battle too. So
right.
All these three at the bottom, well, four at the bottom. The Irish, the Wasps, the Tigers, and then they have to be. Leicester are happy, and we'll get to that in a minute. But this kind of just puts off the inevitable for one more week where they have to worry about that monster creeping up behind them.
Yep. And then to Twickenham, Quins and Leicester,
and then we see. So here we had Campanaro go down early, and
poor guy.
Yeah. And so he was my anti-FAFTA clerk, taking it, he's like, yeah, I'm hurt. And obviously he teared up, but he took it with pride. And it was really hard. It's hard to see because he's a big signing for the Quins, hoping for big things. But it doesn't look like he's going to be back anytime soon.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to be around for a whole lot of the season here, unfortunately, which sucks. But our guy Paul got over.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, did he crash over ever? Nobody wanted to get in the way of that train.
And then not only that, but that try, not only did he score his try there, but he basically scored Marcus Smith's try.
Yes, because they were worried about him.
Because it was the same thing. They committed 4 or 5 defensive players to Lasike coming through, and
Smith's just walked around the side.
I'm just gonna run around and
thanks guys, bye.
Yeah, see ya.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a nice, easy one for him.
Yeah.
Marcus Smith's very good. Obviously, we've talked about how much he's matured over the year-ish plus that he's been around. Where has the fight been from Leicester like this? I haven't seen this fight like this for a while.
The last 2 weeks they've looked interested. I think is the way to put it. Interested in winning. Which is, as you said, good to see.
Yeah.
From Leicester, this is the kind of Leicester that I've been waiting to see for the last couple of years. I don't think it's going to be enough because I just don't think they have the talent overall to maintain this. But again, look who they're you see who they're playing against, and that might help explain some of why we're seeing what we're seeing.
Right.
Although they gave Exeter all they could handle, but still wasn't nearly enough.
Short, yeah.
But this week, it was enough to get the tie over
yeah.
Quins. Yeah, they got the tie over Quins.
Yeah, basically. Got a couple points and salvaged some points there to keep themselves alive at the very least.
It was interesting to see Marler had to come back on as a tight head because Sinclair got hurt. Then the reserve tight head got the yellow card.
Yes. That's not good.
Which really that fucked over
Quinn scrum.
Quins at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was the scrum penalty, and then George Ford chips over for Vaianu. Not much you can do with a player down in that situation.
Yeah, it's tough to call.
And I still have to mention Ford clashing with Kalamafoni, and Kalamafoni has to leave the field. Like, I'm looking at these two, and I'm like, "What?
Your
the
forward
fuck?
card's
What's
been
going on
revoked."
here? Yeah, seriously. You guys like half your size. I mean, I realize it's only it's where he got hit, not how he got hit.
Yeah, it's definitely where he got hit.
It was unfortunate.
Yeah. And then Sunday, big battle down in Devon. Yeah, Ben was less than satisfied with it, and it was a tough old game.
Was there any actual rugby played in this match?
Not a ton, really, by either team.
Like,
the times that the Saracens were trying the most, I'd say, to try and play rugby.
I agree.
They just kept coming up short, and they lacked that final execution that they really needed.
It was just stupid. Like, guys being lazy. So that the pass that got fumbled and went for the try by the Nick White kind of intercept kick.
Yep.
Dealy. Fucking, they're running the Saris are trying to they're trying to skip the forwards and get to the backs. Out the back of the forward, that first forward pod. Fucking Will Skelton just stands there. Not even like in the way, like not even like trying to get out of the way, just sitting there looking at Farrell like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like doesn't even have his hands out, just standing there. Farrell's like, "Get the fuck out of the way!" And Skelton's like, "No." So Farrell had to throw a bad pass. It didn't go to hand. It blah 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 blah. Ended up in their own try zone.
Yep.
And just little shit like that. Like, I think Skelton was standing in the way again a couple times, or like there was a couple times where he made a tackle and just kind of laid down on the field afterwards. Not even he had rolled away, or the tackle kind of moved away from him, and he just kind of sat there. And I'm like, I'm assuming that the Saris had a lot of post-Christmas pudding.
That's what I was thinking too.
A little heavy.
I was like, I wonder how much Christmas drinks they've had,
because they did not look.
They weren't sharp.
No, they weren't sharp. They didn't really get much done. They were fortunate to get the penalty try at the end.
Well, thank you very much, Harry Williams.
Yeah,
for firing up the team, and
Wayne Barnes for actually awarding a penalty try. Unlike it was the previous week where the Glasgow match where he just.
Yeah, I think he learned from his mistakes.
Yeah,
on that one.
I think he may have gotten a talking to, and it's like, no, if they have like 5 penalties on the goal line that are preventing tries, you can go ahead and award a penalty try.
Yeah, how stupid is Harry Williams though? Like how
there
stupid?
Was no reason.
Why are you coming off the bench to get involved in that shit?
Oh, that too.
Like, why are you coming off the bench to get involved in that shit?
And he's practically crying. And look, I'm not saying that he wasn't feeling sad. I absolutely
he realized he fucked up.
Those were not crocodile tears, but. Dude, don't be that fucking stupid.
Jesus, was he dumb ever dumb? Yeah, it was. I mean, and every Harry Williams owner in TRM's going, "You fucking idiot!" They were just like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Yeah, how about that? Sorry." Yeah, he just bought you. Like, he had a yellow already, which is already going to equal a bad day. But then minus 12 on the day. Yuck. Anybody that owned Exeter's front row had the same reaction too.
And I just didn't like. Neither team was really that fair to him. To the ref, it was just like Farrell. He had to chide both play. He had to chide Farrell for talking and calling the penalties and shit. And he had to chide Nick White for doing the same. And fucking Billy Vunipola just standing there, and he's like, "You'll go back to the 50 now." And Vunipola's like, "I'm grown ass man. I'm going to stand right here." No.
You come this way, dum dum. His teammates eventually got him, but jeez him.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have had to go get him.
No, they shouldn't have.
That's just just shit attitude on both sides.
There was a lot of intensity to the match, unfortunately.
But it was there was a lot of intensity, but it was focused on the wrong places.
Yes, no, and it does happen when you have a lot of bad chemistry going on between two teams.
Oh yeah, and there was clearly stuff going on off the field too, because Baxter had a lot to say after the match too.
Yep.
Incorrectly, might I add, but he had a lot to say.
Yeah, well, sounds like a hidden problem.
Yeah.
But Exeter do win 14-7. The Saracens do get a bonus point out of it, which is pretty much what I was expecting out of this match. Unfortunately,
yeah.
It's tough to win. It's tough to win at Sandy Park. It's just how it is.
Looking back on it, I mean, I'd even mark this on the calendar as a loss. So I'm never. It's not the result that frustrated me. It was the style of play. Like if they lose and they played their hearts out and they did. Everything you needed to do, and they played good rugby, I'd be like, fair point. That's what you expect. But when both teams just completely shit the bed like that,
yep,
very frustrating.
It is. All right, let's do some start sit. First time in a while. Hashtag AskTFRY will be in effect this Friday because it is Prem. Last Prem weekend until we get back into the Europe.
Yep. And once again, I get Sale because I apparently can't get rid of Sale. When
don't want to tell you.
Yeah, they're the best defense in fantasy rugby. So yada yada yada.
Yep.
Quins are gonna have a rough time earning fantasy points. The Quins themselves giving up a lot of points to locks. The most points to the 8-man, but shutting down flankers. I see that a lot. There's a lot, like if teams are giving up points to 8s, they're shutting down flanks.
Yeah, and sometimes they haven't played true out and out 8 either, so that'll skew it a little bit.
And a lot of times only the 7s are scoring points for one side, so you're really not, when you look at their flanker points against, it's really their 7s. For Sale in both formats, FRD, TRM, you want to start Daniel Dupria, Robert Dupria, Aki van der Merwe, who just doesn't stop scoring points.
Nope.
Kind of hold off on the Rugby Mag, but go ahead in FRD. The flankers for Sale, the Curry twins, John Ross, etc. And the centers, Van Rensburg and Sam James, Chris Ashton also. Yep. And just leave Hammersley alone because he's not scoring anything.
Yeah.
And Quins are good against fullbacks. For the Quins, Louis and Simmons, Lasike, Smith, Sinclair. Those are guys you want to be you'll want to be playing. For my yellows, the hold off so much in TRM, but go ahead in FRD are Dombrandt and Laude.
Yeah, all right.
And do not start the Quins front row.
Yeah,
in FRD.
Probably a tough go over there.
Have a sit. Find a bench.
Have a sit.
Yeah.
All right, Bristol Leicester. Well, Leicester are one of the worst teams to in terms of defending Premiership points, like in all formats. So there's plenty of starts to go about. Some of these teams, they do have a few places that they're tough, but for the most part, you're going to be able to free roll a lot of these guys. Thacker, Piatow, Luatua, Hughes, the front row. Whichever scrum half, O'Connor, Leua, Owen Lloyd, if he ever gets a start, go ahead. Jonathan was one of the top scoring props in TRM, so you're going to go ahead and start him. And then, let's see, Vui Prothero, Morahan, and Joe Joyce, if he actually picks up a start. Probably FRD only guys. And then the one place that the Tigers are stingy, fly half. So Callum Sheedy, have a seat, buddy.
Oh, interesting.
It's not really something that I'm excited about because I have him in one of my leagues, but it's how it is.
Yeah, hopefully Robert Dupree is playing 10 for Sale, and then I can work around. That.
There you go. Leicester, a lot of names, only three outright starts: Dan Cole, Genge, and Ford. That's it. Bristol aren't good against props, and George Ford's kind of one of those guys you have to start anyway. So
yeah, he is.
Guys to start in TRM, but not FRD. Mostly outside backs and centers. Hardwick, Vayanu, Oluwafella, May, and then vice versa for these guys. Thompson, Taufua, and Liebenberg. Those are the flankers mostly. And then outright sits at the front row. Greg Bateman, who I don't know what he's doing, but that's a different story for a different day. Tom Youngs, and then the two big second rows, then Green and Lavanini. If you can get away from him in both formats.
Gloucester Bath. Bath are decent against flankers, but give up points to every other forward position. They're strong against 10s and centers, and middle of the pack against the back three. Gloucester are giving up points really just to 9s and 10s. Everyone else, they're doing a good job of shutting down. So from Gloucester, play him if you got him. Moray, Morgan, Ludlow, Mostert. I'm assuming Slater's back.
I don't know if he's back yet, but hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully he's back. So if he's back, play him. And at this point, because I think he's going to be playing, Reece Zammit has got to be on.
Yeah, he should be on your list.
He should be on your squad, or at least on your radar.
Yep.
For FRD starts and TRM maybes, Ackerman, Hines, or Simpson, maybe both. And if you've got if you only have Simpson and he's a reserve, still might be a good option because. Who knows how they're going to mix those spots and
True.
And Simpson's been a try scoring machine, so
when he's on the field,
it's hard if he's going to see the field, he could score a try.
Right.
Cipriani, Atkinson, and Harris. The only player I would not start from Gloucester is Banahan, because I assume he's going to be starting.
Yeah, I think he is too, and he's not been good.
For Bath, start their front row in FRD.
Yeah.
Chudley and Priestland. Assuming they're the 9 and 10s.
The Priest.
And Priestland's had a good year, so
yes,
in
especially
fantasy,
in FRD.
Right. So he's one to keep an eye on here. Mercer, McNally, Stuke, Obano, Stewart,
Zach Mercer, come back. Yeah. I have so much stock in him.
I know. So he's somebody who could have a good day. The yellows, so guys that start from the FRD and TRM, maybe look elsewhere. Jamie Roberts, Jonathan Joseph, Rocco Duguni, and Watson. And the only red from Bath for me, the guy don't start anywhere, is Homer.
Yeah. Unfortunate. Right. Saracens looking out for a little revenge against Worcester. Well, Saracens are one of the tougher outfits in terms of fantasy to play against, and bad news for a team that like Worcester. Although Worcester actually are pretty stingy against fantasy teams too, so it'll be very interesting to see how much this one match kind of throws that off balance, or if it continues to be the trend. For the Saracens, lots of starts. Mako, Asikwe, Faz, Cruz, Tompkins, Jinx, Matt Gallagher, Maitland, Atoje, Tompkins, even Alex Lewington, because Worcester are bad against outside backs. Ben Earl is worth a start in TRM, but a sit in FRD, believe it or not. Either scrum half is worth a roll in TRM, but I'd go ahead and find him in FRD if you can. And then sits, going to be the names that are probably surprising, but not. Lazowski, Jackson Ray, Billy Vanapola, Brad Barrett, all of them are sits. They don't score well, and those are places that Worcester tend to be a little stingy. For Worcester, I got three starts and a lot of and a lot of sits. I'll give you the starts and the everybody else just considered them to sit. Also, I believe did I mention the Saracens front row? Probably not. Let me check. Go ahead. I mean, start the Saracens front row at your own risk.
Yeah,
Worcester are actually decent against it. For Worcester, back to Worcester. Three names that will go right on your team sheet probably anyway. Ted Hill and Hugard, and then actually Ethan Waller's probably worth a roll out there if you need a prop. Weir in TRM only, and Bresler in FRD only. Everybody else, pine them, front row included.
And in what's going to turn out to be, I'm sure it's going to just be a lovely bow on the weekend of rugby. The London Irish versus Exeter. My anticipation for this match is going to be a severely depowered Exeter team.
It's still a shit show.
Yes. That doesn't change who I would actually start so much. It does mean that you get a couple of players in London Irish who, if you got them on your squad, you might want to start them over
certain Exeter players.
Right. Yeah. And it's certainly not if they were playing a full power Exeter side, which I doubt to see.
Yeah,
we'll see. So for the Irish, start their front row because they've been doing pretty decently.
They have one of the better scoring front rows
in FRD. That also translates to Ollie Hoskins in TRM.
Yes, one of the top scoring props in TRM.
Yes, he is. Tui Sui has done pretty well at 8. and I think we'll continue that. Cowan, Rona, Van der Merwe, and Coleman, I think are other guys you should have on your radar there. I'm not sure about them for FRD, but for TRM, Myler or Phipps, whoever gets the start at 9, you should.
Is it Meehan or is it?
I'm sorry, yeah, it is Meehan.
Yeah,
Myler and Phipps. Sorry,
there you go.
That's what I had.
Fair enough.
But if Meehan is starting, sit him in FRD.
Stay away from him. Yeah.
Certainly in FRD. For Exeter, start their front row in FRD.
Hopefully Harry Williams isn't a complete helmet.
Well, you won't have to worry about him playing this week. So
That's true.
Yandel and Luke Cowan-Dickey, whoever's playing, I think Yandel is at least recovered. I'm not sure how much he's going to be playing.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if they would play him in this match at all.
No, I don't think they'd risk him in this one.
So I'm expecting a little bit more Luke Cowan-Dickey. Even with the deep Howard side, I'm guessing he'll get significant time. The Exeter props, whoever they are playing, if you got him on your squad, play him. Hill, you don't take him off the field.
Johnny Hill.
Unless Exeter takes him off the field. Vermeulen, Kvesic, Kirsten, Armand, I think you'll see a lot of. Joe Simmons, if he's playing, and O'Flaherty, if he's playing, I think could have a good match. The Yellows are Witten and Devoto. Neither of them are doing a hell of a lot in TRM, but in FRD,
you might be stuck. So.
Who knows? What's wrong with them?
Yeah.
No Reds for Exeter. If they're starting somebody, and they're available for you in FRD,
consider.
I'm sorry. Yeah, in FRD, go ahead.
Yeah, give them consideration. And to end the weekend, this will be interesting. Wasps and Northampton. Northampton are one of the stingier outfits out there. Wasps are one of the. They're actually pretty good in. I think it was FRD rather that they're pretty good, but TRM they're pretty loose. So funny how that works depending on format. Anywho, for the Wasps. A lot of names that you know and love. Dan Robson, either Hooker, Taylor, or Cruz. Jack Willis, my man. Nizam Carr, Bailanu, Thomas Young, Kibarigi, all worth throwing out there. Kibarigi's actually scoring really well in both formats. Usually he hasn't been super matchup dependent either. One format dependent guy, that's Malachi Fekitoa. Yeah, he scored great last week in both, but he's better in FRD than he is TRM. And then the rest are sits. Sopoaga should be available for selection. I guess he's been sick. That's just been a big problem. That's why we haven't seen a lot of him. Umaga, Manozzi, the front row, and Big Joe Launchbury have a pine. And the Saints. Oh, there's going to be a lot of names, and you can roll most of them out there. Rarnak, Laws, Ludlam, they should all be guys that go right in your team no matter what. Harrison and Gibson. Nairo is another guy that needs to go right in your team. Hutchinson, same thing. Proctor, if he plays, go ahead. Even Pierce Francis in TRM, especially. I know he's a fly half in FRD, so it's kind of but that's okay. Furbank, Jamie Gibson, Dan Bigger or Grayson, whichever one starts, go ahead. The front row is not a good one this year for FRD, but this is one of the better matchups, so you can feel okay about it. Mikey Haywood, I would go ahead and roll out there, and Tom Collins definitively do that. In TRM, Wasps are actually stingy against props. That's something that's kind of coming up, but not that Northampton have any props to write home about, but Alex Waller and Ben Wick are their most owned ones. So those of you that have them, get away. For the most part, the Wasps are a pain in the ass to locks. So Moon and Appy Ratchanawala are going to be guys that you want to sit. Laws is an auto start. You can't get away from him anyway. Tuala, Ribbons, Tom Wood all have a seat. And start of the week. Well, my start of the week is Mr. Charles Piatow. He has been tearing it up, and unfortunately for the Leicester Tigers, they're about to experience him across there. And again, they are the leakiest team through both formats, I think, or if not one of. And Piatow's just been scoring well on both formats. So Charles Piatow is my start of the week.
My start of the week, it's tough. Again, we don't know what some of these teams are putting out. but just the way that the matchup is too good, with Quinn's giving up a lot of points to 8-man, the most in the Premiership. Mm-hmm. And Daniel Dupree is sitting there being all
good,
a very good 8-man.
Good pick.
So I'm going to go with DDP.
Yep. Dan Dupree. I like it. Yeah, I do have a record of all the picks that we've made. You now have you now have Jack Yandel available for your next pick for Premiership, because I said we can't pick the same guy six weeks.
Gotcha.
6 weeks in a row.
Oh, so I have okay.
All right, within 6 weeks we can't pick the same guy. So Jack Yandel is hopefully he's available soon.
He's
anyway,
not the start of the week this week.
Not that, yeah, it wasn't going to happen this week, but yeah, and there's a bunch of other names in there. Anyway, digress. Sit of the week. Well, guess what? Same match. They are an absolute pain in the ass, and this is now a thing. We're 7 matches into the season. It's a thing. Sale are a tough go. They're tough against halfbacks, and you all own this guy probably, or a lot of you own this guy, Danny Kerr. I'd get away from him if you can. TRM, it'll be a lot easier. FRD, I know it's tough, but if you can find a halfback that's playing against a team not named Sale, try it.
I'm gonna go with staying with my own same match. So we have DDP as my start of the week. My sit of the week is Simon Hammersley.
You picked him last week.
Did I?
Yes.
He's just don't start him. He sucks.
You picked him last week.
Well, then fine. I'll move away from that, and I'll stick with the same position, different match. Tom Homer.
Ooh, that also a good idea. I agree with that one. Attaboy. Good. Yeah, Tom Homer's not good either.
No.
He's not going to have the match he had against freaking Irish after he had that intercept.
Right.
So,
he's had what, 1 or 2 decent matches this year, fantasy wise.
Yeah, and that was probably one of them right there. So yeah. All right, let's do some pick'em and we can eat oot. The aforementioned Sale and Quinn's. Oh boy.
This one's tough because neither of these teams are doing as well as they should. Both are outside the top 6 right now,
which is baffling.
They're tied for points. But yeah, fuck. This is just not. But it's at Sale.
Right.
Flip a fucking coin.
I'm gonna go with the team that's playing the better rugby in my eyes, and that'll be the Quins.
I think I'm gonna go with the same because Sale are just not.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
It's not pretty right now.
No, it's not.
And I think Quins can rock up and steal one. And I'm not sure that Sale are capable of rocking up right now. So
yeah, they've got some answers to provide soon here.
And Quins are going to be a little salty after that
tie,
that loss.
Yep, it basically a loss.
They tied, yeah.
Yeah, it felt like a loss. Leicester, Bristol. Bristol's. Gloucester and Bath. It's at King's Home, so I'm going to go with the Gloucestermen.
Me too.
If this was at the Bog, I might go with.
That would be a question. That would be an interesting match actually to see Gloucester slowed down by that Bog. See how that would work out.
Yeah, it will happen soon. Saracens and Worcester. Saracens are going to be a very angry bunch, so I'm going to go ahead. Even if it's a depowered Saracens team, I'm going to back the Saracens.
I don't think they're going to depower for this one. I think they're going to at least not.
No, they won't. Well, because next week they have Sprays that'll be at Liberty, and they could put a half team out there and probably walk all over them. So,
right.
Assuming that the Ospreys have pulled their head out of their ass,
which I don't think they have.
I don't think they have either.
Judging by Squidge's comments, I think it was on Twitter.
Yeah,
I think Ospreys are still struggling.
Yeah. Somebody went after him, and I was just like, "Fuck you, dude!
Yeah, dude, fuck off.
Dude, Squidge is one of the most awesome guys out there. Yeah. Go away. Don't go after Squidge.
Don't be a dick to Squidge.
Yeah, be nice to Squidge. London Irish and Exeter.
Yeah. Yes. I think
we're
going to agree down the line here.
Yeah. Wasps, Northampton. The only hesitation I have is that it's at the Rico. They could have Sopoaga back, but he's been sick. Yeah. So that's the one thing that's going to lean me towards Northampton. If they had Sopoaga healthy, not having been sick for like 3 weeks, I might consider the Wasps, but because
I think there's just too much coming at them. I mean, they really weren't. I mean, Wasps didn't handle Bristol very well. Bristol kind of made a lot of mistakes. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of similarities between Bristol and Northampton, but Northampton's just a lot better.
Yeah.
But they play similar styles. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for the Saints, and I think they have guys that'll take advantage of those opportunities better than Bristol did.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Saints there.
Fair point. All right. Well, it's good to get back into the saddle here.
It is. In this new year, we have 2020.
Yeah. But make sure that you are obviously subscribed to us, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn, fantasyrugbypodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions that you want to send to us and have read on the show or anything like that.
Hashtag TFRY, or STFRY.
STFRY this Friday. As lineups are announced, we'll do our best. I will be conscious this time at least. That's a good start. Yeah, that was not that. I've had less pleasant doctor's visits, but it still wasn't pleasant. Oh man, please. But so we got that. Everybody have a good new year. Good luck in 2020.
Yeah.
New decade, man. 10 more years to not screw it up.
Yeah. Happy New Year, everybody.
Have a good one, everybody. Cheers.